Get started with feet hip width apart. You could go narrower, but no wider. All right, let's take those shoulders, give them a good lift up. Feel how easy it might be if there's tension on your top of your shoulders to do that. Let them fall down. Not a squish, just a relax. And let them lift up. Feel the tension if you've got it. And then drop them nice and heavy. Almost let them jiggle a little bit. They're so heavy, those arms. One more up. And then let them fall down. Now 3 circles to the back with both shoulders, up around to the back. Let it stretch the chest as you come around to the back. Let it have a lift up and an easy roll back and down. Then 3 reverse it. Go back, up, around, and forward. As you come forward, let it spread your shoulder blades apart, kind of coaxing you even into a little bit of curve. And now 1 shoulder 3 times to the back. Breathe in as you do this, nice and steady, and breathe out. And reverse. Now I'm going to keep saying that because I can't really breathe and talk at the same time. So make sure you keep your breath steady. Other shoulder, 3 to the back. We want to keep it moving as well, right? You only have so much time to stretch the stress away. 1 more and bring it around to the front for this last time with this last shoulder. And then you're going to take both arms in and lift them up with a big inhale. And exhale, bring them down. Now you're going to get your knees into that little bend and then stretch them up. Exhale, let the knees bend as your arm comes back down. 1 more. Inhale up. This time interlace the fingers. Take a stretch up. Look up if you like. Let it open your chest and open the arms and down. And now let the head easy fall over to the right. Pick it up over to the left, letting the ear just fall heavy. Don't crank, just easy. And you might have tension on one side that you don't have on the other. Just take note of that. And then a easy looking, right? And feel it stretch and pull and move the muscles of the neck, right? And then an easy up and down. Nodding up and down. Now make sure that you're trying to keep ears on top of shoulders. You're not letting your head fall off of you trying to do any of this, right? And then an easy circle of the head, as big or as small as you want. You can make it a whole neck situation, 3 each way. And then to show you on the reverse, you could also make it as small as just feel like your chin makes a little circle in space. This is really more isolating the circle of the skull on top of the actual neck spine versus what you just did previously, which was more of the whole head. Choose the one your shoulders need. We're going to take those feet together now. Inhale, lift both arms up to the top. Bring one arm down to the side. Now you're going to take an easy side bend over to that arm that's down by your side. And then come back up, bring the arm up with you. Other arm, bring it down by your side. Take an easy side bend over. Now try to keep your hips stacked on top of your feet. Don't let them sway out, just let yet. And one arm comes down. And lift up, bring that arm up, other arm. And up. Now let the feet a little bit back apart and you're going to take one arm down. This time as you go over, let the hips go out just a little bit and then bring them up with you, right? And go other arm down. Side bend, let the hips go out a little ways with you. One more if you've got a tight IT band. The side you're bending out to can get a nice easy stretch all the way through the waist and through your IT band down through that leg. And then back up. Chin to chest, easy roll down. Now you're not going all the way. Just let the knees bend and take an easy half hang. I'm going to show you from the side. It's like my head is about in line with my belly button. And then just stack up from there, letting the knees easily unfold with you. Going over again, easy drop of the head, fold the ribs together. Let yourself come down to this half hang, almost a zombie thing. Let your arms just dangle and then roll back up. Now, if that's easy peasy mac and cheesy, let's go a little farther. And we're going to go over and you hit that halfway point. Keep the knees bent, right? We're not going for the hamstring stretch yet. We're going for the feeling of the back and the spine being able to move through space, letting the pelvis tip and fold to get my hands to the floor. Note the bent knees. And then I'm going to roll back up, keeping the knees bent, stacking pelvis on top of hips. Ribs on top of pelvis, shoulders on top of ribs, and yep, the head's the last thing up. One more of those, easy exhale. Folding over where you can. Now, if you need support, you could always put your hands on a chair. You could grab some yoga blocks so that it's bringing the floor up to you. And you can go where you feel nice and comfortable. I ideally would like you to be able to get your palms on the floor with, again, bent knees. And then with bent knees, we're going to take one knee and straightened. And now I'm going to come back to face you so you can see what happens in my hips. As one knee straightens and both feet stay down, you should see one hip higher than the other hip. And then as I shift to straight legs to bend the opposite, you should have seen both hips come up level and now one hip higher than the other hip. Now, I don't want it to fall over to the side. That's a different thing. Really up and down. Press up with one knee, bend the other, feel one hip lower down. And up and bend. Oh, and it should feel so good all up the back of the leg. I'm going to show you from the side one more time. Bending and straightening. One more bending and straightening. Again, it's okay if you need to be a little bit more elevated up off the floor. Now we're going to take a bend of one knee. I've got the right knee bent, and therefore I'm going to take the opposite arm and I'm going to lift. And I'm going to take a twist and look up toward those fingers, and then come back down, straighten up both legs, bend the other knee. I've got my left hand, left knee bent, so now my right hand's going to open up for the twist. And then coming back, and one more. Inhale. And exhale. Take another breath in. Exhale as it comes back to center. One now the other side. And lift it up. There's no wrong. It just needs to feel good. Now bend both knees, rolling up, stacking up bone by bone by bone by bone. One bone at a time. Skipping down to your feet. Lift one heel, ball of the foot pressing. And you're going to circle the ankle. The thigh and the knee can move, right? But don't let them go all crazy town. Really try to stir the ankle at the bottom of the foot. Reversing, and it kind of massages the ball of the foot on the floor, passes weight through your toes, gets things going down there in the lower limb. Other foot, start circling in or out. Doesn't matter which way, you got to do both. Woo, got some snap, crackle, pops on this side. It's impossible to keep the leg and the thigh completely still. Let it move, but again, don't let it go crazy. And circle it the other way. Try to keep some lift on your standing leg. Woo, just get some going. Woo, and you know your ankles kind of mimic your wrists. So let's just circle hands. Circle them, don't forget them. They've been stirring and mixing and doing all kinds of things. And reverse them. Right, and we are going to come down now to sitting, but we're going to get down there with grace and style. So I'm just going to turn side again, rolling down bone by bone, one bone at a time. Bending both knees. Now I'm going to walk my hands out a little bit because I want to stretch my toes a little bit, lifting heels, rocking weight into my hands, pushing weight from my hands back onto my feet, not falling, giving a little rock onto the ball, onto the balls of the feet, weight into the hands and shoulders, and then back, and then one more. And then keep letting the knees bend as I lift that 100 curve of mine. That's right, scoop those abs, that's right. Now I'm easier to fold those knees and come on down. And you're gonna come to a sitting position, soles of the feet together. Okay, and I'm going to stay side on so it's easier for you to see. Now, if you get into this position and your knees are all up here and your hip flexors are pulling you down and you cannot get any lift in your lumbar, then you need to take a block, a book, or sit on a stair and elevate yourself above your feet so that it opens the angle between your hip bone, your ASIS, and your thigh bone. So the higher you lift your torso and sit up, the easier it will be. Your goal is not to butterfly your knees all the way down. Your goal, no matter how much turnout you have, is to feel that base of that spine, sacral coccyx, lifting up. A lot of you may think that if your spine's tight or your low back is tight, that your spine ends here. No, no, no. Think all the way down to the bottom. Lift those back abs. Lift that posterior and draw the front with you. Hold underneath your knees and actually pull up into the strength of your upper back. Your shoulders should be nice and warm. You should know where they are. Use them a little bit. And I'm going to take a deep breath in. And then keeping head stacked, I'm going to pitch forward from the pelvis, and it won't be that far, friends. Not falling from my ribs, not trying to touch down to my toes, just taking this whole line and thinking stretch up so much, pick up so much. And now as you come forward more, maybe the arms shift down to the ankles, right? And it makes me roll through the hip flexors and through any tightness in my groin. And it really makes me stretch out those deep six underneath and then come back on top of sits bones, back on top of those ischial tuberosities. And then pitching forward again. I know you're tempted to curve and dive, but no. And there is a pull. right? And you want to think of bringing all that posterior tissue and all those back abs up with you, forward, all the way up under the back of that. The weight of your head feels so good. One more, pitching forward. Now, when you get to the max forward of where your pelvis can go, now allow yourself to contract those abs, pull yourself forward. If your hands can go forward more, great. Think of pushing into the floor, maybe pulling on the floor to keep bringing all that tissue in your low back that might be tight with you. Take a little walk of the hands over towards one side, woo, which really stretches out the opposite hip and the opposite side of your back. And then over to the other side. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. And as I'm doing this, I'm not thinking push down through the knee. I'm thinking pull the back of my pelvis forward and around to where my fingers are reaching. And that asks for more movement in that thigh bone. And then coming back up. Now let's mobilize your pelvis here. Hold on top of the knees, underneath the knees, but it's a hold to hold you up. And you're going to curl the tail, tuck under. And it brings you into your curve. And let it turn your knees into parallel as you go back. Let it give a little stretch everywhere. And then breathe as you come back forward, stack up, letting the knees back open, thighs rotate back open. Inhale. Exhale, contract. Pelvis pulls under. And it might even pull your feet up off the floor as you rock back. And if that feels super good in your back, just love it. Pull yourself back up, opening back up through center as you stack up tall and strong. One more. Scoop and curve back. And you might rotate those hands on top of those knees. Now give a little push of one knee and then the other knee. And it just allows you to mobilize that back body a little bit more. And for some people, this can be a really lovely stretch all the way through the back. Right? And then coming up, up. Now we're going to go ahead and roll yourself all the way down. Right? Arms by your side, but not squished in. Maybe a little space in your armpits, okay? Bring one knee to your chest, stretch it up to the ceiling. Flex the foot at the top. Lower it all the way down with that flexed heel. And when it gets down there, press it into the floor. Point at the bottom, lift it up. Flex at the top down. And bring it up. Find your breathing. Is it better to exhale on the way down? Okay. Is it better to inhale on the way up? Okay. Do you. Last one. And then you're going to stay at the top. And at the top, holding that knee still. Let's use your opposite arm just to make it more fun, right? Opposite arm to the knee and the leg in the air. Point and flex the foot in the air, right? And you're using the cross arm across the body to make your waist kind of pull together into that center. Circle the foot. Stabilize that thigh bone. Just move the foot, unlike when you were standing and you circled the whole thing around. All right, and then give it a little shake. Set it down, other side. You bring it up, flex the foot, lower down with a flex foot. Point at the bottom. I like to inhale up, flex down. Inhale up, point at the up, flex down. Point up, flex down, point up, flex down. Last one, stay at the top. Opposite arm to the knee, point and flex. Breathe in and breathe out. Keep your breathing. I'm running my mouth. You focus on breathing. Circling the foot. 3 each way. Rule of threes. Whoo, it's easier to count 2 than 5. Circling it the other way. Make sure your toes move in the circle, okay? Don't just flop your foot around. Toes, fan, and twirl too. Give it a shake. Set it down. Right leg comes back to you. Hands behind the thighs so you can move the knee. And you're going to take an easy stretch up, but you're really pushing the leg away. So if my hands weren't here, that leg would fall down, okay? And pull back in. Push it away. And pull back in. Now push it away. Chin to your chest. Climb the leg just to the calf, not to the ankle, just the calf. See that leg down there at the bottom? Stretch it out. Look at your pelvis. Try to square it up. Then start thinking, can I pull that leg to me? Now watch your pelvis. Do you crank all over the place? Try to keep that pelvis nice and stable. And then walk down, right? You can keep that leg at 90. That's the real goal. If your flexibility, it brings you past 90, good for you. But guess what I'm going to ask you to do? I'm going to ask you to climb, climb, climb. Get to the top, find a flex and a point and a circle one way and a circle another way. Now climb down. Try to leave the leg where it is. You climb away from it. You climb up to it. Right? You can leave the foot out of it or you can give it the action if you like. Now you're going to stay up on this one. And that bottom leg, the one on the floor, is going to lift and lower and lift and lower. And then you're going to switch and walk down And now you've got that other leg holding behind the knee. Stretch it. Keep pushing it away. Bend it back in. And lift. No, keep it moving. Keep it moving. All right, stretching's no fun when it's just stagnant and being there. Keep it moving. Keep the leg up. Walk up. Woo! That choreography may not be the same, but guess what? You don't have to be, right? There was some foot action. I remember that. Climb down, all right? Having symmetry in your choreography is really awesome. Not necessary. Climb down. On your next one, climb up. Bottom leg lifts a little bit, just testing out those abs, testing out the strength and the scoop and the thing, the Pilates, that's still a thing. Change legs, bend both in, stretch them out, and let yourself roll forward. Easy, nice and easy. Now, we're going to take foot into the crease of the knee. All right, this is like a nice pretzel stretch. If your hips are not about this, take a yoga block between your foot and your knee, place it here, and then you're going to have more support, right? Otherwise, place your hand under the knee and control the stretch as it opens up. Now again, your focus is not about cranking down. Your focus is about lift up. Lift, lift, lift. This is a very advanced stretch for your hips. Reaching forward if you like, and again, I'm looking for that flat back pitch versus that collapse slouch stretch. And a nice easy pitch, a nice easy stretch, and coming back out of it. This isn't a position to hold for a long time, but it is a fabulous stretch for everything belly button down to the knees. I'm going to come out of that, going the other way. Right? We've done enough that everything should be warm enough for something this advanced if it's accessible. If it's not, if your knees are barking at you about this, don't worry. I'm going to back it up to a stretch that is more accessible. Ooh, it's getting into good places. Now I'm going to flip to show you the back real fast. Okay? So I know I got all these cords and things in the way too. Right? I don't want to be in a place where this is happening just because everything's tight. This is where I'm going to come up and support and try to pick myself up. It's all right if this is like what your turnout is in your hips. That's fine, okay? But I don't want to pick your back up and then ask your hips to come along and accommodate. All right, and then I'm thinking lift everything as I pitch forward through my hip flexors and pitch forward through my inner thighs. That causes everything in the deep six and everything out through the outer hips to have to stretch and open up. Woo! But if that shape is just too inaccessible, here's what you're going to do. Lie down on your back. Now you may be thinking I'm going to say force stretch. I'm not. Okay? Because even though I'm making the same angle as I was sitting, because the weight shift is different from me lying down to sitting, this isn't the same stretch as you would think. Okay? Now, if it is for you, if you're that super tight, go for it. But please do not, I'm going to show you from this angle, shove down and skew your whole pelvis and throw your whole back. That's not the stretch. Keep your pelvis united as a unit and think rotate the thigh bone, not just push and crank it down, okay? Now, what I would prefer you to do is cross the leg fully, not a force stretch, no daylight. Then pull both knees to the chest. Now, the leg that's on top should start to feel a little hello in the backyard, right? And if that's not enough, you take hands, reach for the ankles or the lower limb, and you start to pull the feet towards your collarbone, towards your armpits, and keep your collarbone wide. If you're in this position, you're not helping yourself. Open up, even if it means like putting a blanket underneath your hips so that your hips have some elevation. Bring the floor up to you versus trying to bring you to the floor, okay? That's a nice one. I'm going to go ahead and do a fancy fan kick to the other side. Now, if you really get good at this, at some point it can really feel like it pulls your feet all the way up and into you, right? And give an easy lift and pull and back in. Now again, if that open force stretch gets you, right? And you're not cranking. Eventually, you'll get it to this place where you can pull up into you this way. And again, I'm not cranking to push my knee open. I'm thinking lift and stretch all of this tight tissue to me. You can even get a little extra hammy pulling that bottom leg straight, okay? This doesn't get me as much as this one does, or as much as the seated one does, right? Find which one works for you. Shaking that out. Arms out to the side. You're going to let the knees fold over. Take a gentle twist. Let your head turn away from your knees. Really think of stretching out through your collarbone, out to your fingertips. And then you're going to circle up to bring the other knee back up. Legs fold over. Head turns away from. Easy spiral twist through your whole spine like a washcloth. Lift that top leg up into you. Lift that bottom leg up into you. Give a little wag your tail. Let it feel good. Right? And then coming up. Right. Inner thighs. We have to stretch those inner thighs. So for inner thighs versus doing a straddle split, which, you get no points for even if you can do them as a grown-up. Sorry to tell you that. But come into your quad position and stretch one leg out to the side. Put a pad underneath your knees, get a mat, whatever you got to get, right? And now the opposite arm from the leg that's extended. Reach it out to the side. And then you're going to twist, reach under towards that foot. You can bend that elbow, come down to the floor. Open, twist out. And inward to twist. And outward. Reach up. One more. And then back up. Good. Now you think I'm going to ask you to slide, right? You can if you want to, but that personally really bothers my knee. So no, what I'm going to ask you to do is come up and take a side kneeling and then a side easy lunge. And then press back up. And one more slide easy lunge. And back up. One more. And if you really want to stay there for a moment, you can put your hands down and just let it feel like a nice, easy stretch. Come back up. Other side. Stretch it out all the way. The opposite arm reaches out and stretches under. And twist open. And stretches to the foot. One more. Reach to. And reach up. Good. And then you're going to come up to your side kneeling. And an easy reach out. And up. And a easy reach. And up, and then if you want to take that extra one, come down into it. Nice, easy stretch. And then back up, back to your quad position. Tuck your toes. I'm going to show you from the side again. Tuck your toes. Press back through those heels, but don't think drop them. Think push the floor to take your hips up to your downward dog. Give a little tread of your feet. Easy, easy, easy treading. Then step your feet forward. Give an easy bend to both knees. Roll up. Don't think I didn't forget about your hip flexors and your quads. All right? So we're going to take a hold. Same arm, same foot. If it feels like it's too far away, grab a towel to get a hold of the top of your ankle. You want to press your foot down into your hands to make you have to hold up. Other arm goes forward for balance. An easy bend. And then an easy pull back. It's a balance and a stretch and a balance and a stretch and work and a balance and a stretch. Good. Now if you want any more, you can take a tip forward and then rock back up and through. And an easy tip forward and rock through. Woo! Last one. Last one. And back up. From here, drop the foot. Right? An easy lunge. Easy lunge. Do you want to put your hands down? Good. Do you want to put your knee down? It's honestly better to find a hip flexor stretch in this position, lifting as you engage versus trying to hold a lunge. But then you'll pull yourself right back up through that and back up. Leather leg. Grab the foot, press down into the hand, other arm forward, right? An easy bend. And to pull the leg back. And if that's enough, you stop there. Otherwise, you tip from the pelvis and you come back up. Inhale. And exhale. One more. And back up. And then just let the foot come down. Easy press back into a lunge. Put your hands where you like them. I don't love holding lunge positions. I'd rather come down. Pad that knee, be ready. Engage the back of the hip by pressing down through your foot and shin. Don't just drop your hips forward like you're in gym class in 3rd grade. Lift up all the way to the top. If you really want more from here, that's when you add the reach of the same arm up as the same leg that is back. But to have the lift implies that you could reach forward, pull that left leg, back leg back up, bend the knees, roll up, give it a shake out. And now you should be ready to get on back out there.